ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिक्षीदसादनं प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती दीनामवित्रगवतो गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरः ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां श्रीकण्ठाराध्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां सदाशिवं शिवां स्कन्दं केशवं पद्मसम्भवं नन्दीश्वरं कुम्भयोनिं भरद्वाजात्रिगौतमान् नमोऽस्तु गुरवे नित्यं श्रीकण्ठशिवयोगिने श्रुतिसारशिवविशिष्टाद्वैत परभाष्यविदायिने ददीचीमुपमन्युञ्च मार्कण्डेयं पराशरं श्वेताचार्यं तच्छिष्यं नीलकण्ठशिवाह्वयं जगद्गुरु श्रीरेणुकाचार्य मङ्गलं देहि प्रभो त्रैलोक्यसम्पदालेख्यसमुल्लेखनभित्तये सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय शिवाय ब्रह्मणे नमः यामाहुः सर्वलोकानां प्रकृतिं शास्त्रपारगाः तां धर्मचारिणीं शम्भो प्रणमामि परां शिवाम् अमृतार्थं प्रपन्नार्तां यासु विद्याप्रदायिनी अहर्निशमहं वन्दे ताम् ईशानमनोरमां साम्ब शिवाय नमः साम्ब शिवाय नमः साम्ब शिवाय नमः. Thank you all for joining. So we are going to continue the katha. Atato Brahma Jignasa. That's how the Brahma Sutra start. Let there be questions about the Supreme Reality. And here our Upamanyu Maharishi is curious. Who is that Lord Shiva? Who is that Mahadeva that you were talking about? He says, 130th verse, Anushasana Parvam, 14th chapter. Koyamamba Mahadeva Sakatam cha prasidati Kutra va vasate devo drashtavyo vakatanchana Tushyate vagatam sharvo rupam tasya chakidrisham Katam nyeyah prasanno va darshaye janani mama. He says, oh mother, who is this Mahadeva that you are talking about? Who is this Mahadeva? And how can I gratify him? How can I gratify him? And where does he reside? How may he be seen? How can he be seen? And with what he becomes pleased, O mother? And Sharva Rupo, what is his form? The divine form of Lord Shiva is beautifully described in the Upanishads. We'll be seeing that. So what is the form of Mahadeva? And how may one succeed? How may I succeed in obtaining the knowledge of him? So and then Ambovacha, Upamanyu Maharishi's mother, Yagrapada Maharishi's wife, replies, Ambovacha Duvinyeyo Mahadevo Duradaro Durantakaha Durabhadascha Durgrahyo Durdrushyo Hyakritatmabihi Yasya Rupanyanekani Pravadanti Manishinaha Sthanani cha vichitrani prasadaschapyanekashaha. Oh child, Mahadeva is exceedingly difficult to be known by persons of unclean souls. Unclean souls can never understand Mahadeva. Those men are incapable of bearing him in their hearts and comprehending him. So this is hinting at Daksha. You see how Daksha was very offensive against Mahadeva, and we know finally what happened to him. So, and they cannot seize him. Only by bhakti he could be understood. Shraddha, bhakti, dhyana, yoga, davaihi. Only by having unflinching faith, shraddha, and by devotion, unflinching devotion to his lotus feet and Parashakti's lotus feet, and then dhyana, by meditating on his divine form in the heart and applying the basma. Basmadarana sampanno mamabhuto mama bhakto bhavishyati. My bhakta will never cast away the basma, as Mahadeva says in Brihajjabala Upanishad. So only by these things one can understand Mahadeva, only by bhakti, and people of unclean souls cannot understand him. Kohi Tattvena, because she answers the Upamanyu Maharishi's questions one by one. We are going to see that. Kohi Tattvena Tadveda Ishasya Charitam Shubham Kritabanyani Rupani Devadeva Purakila. So there are many places that he pervades everything. So because Upamanyu Maharishi asks, where does he reside? So to that Upamanyu Maharishi's mother replies, there are many forms and he resides in many places, O child. Linga Purana, there is a place where when Devatas do the stuti for Sharabeshwara, they say that the people who have read the Vedas and Upanishads, they say there are two forms for Lord Shiva, Gorapyanya, Shivapyanya. There is a fierce form and also there is a Saumya Rupa. There is a Raudra Rupa and Saumya Rupa of Mahadeva. That is what people will come to the conclusion after reading the Vedas and Upanishads. That's why Yate Rudra Shiva Tanu Raghora Papakashini. Rudram says, Aghore ebhyo thagore ebhyo goraghora tarebhyaha sarve ebhyah sarva sharve ebhyo namaste astu rudra rupebhyaha. My obeisances to your Saumya Rupa and Raudra Rupa. And he takes those Ugra forms like Veerabhadra, Kalabhairava and Sharabeshwara to punish the wicked. But he has a Saumya Rupa. Shuddha Spatika Sankasham Dhrita Bhalendu Maulinam Panchavaktra Yutam Saumyam Dashabahum Trilochanam Sarvayudair Dritakaram Sarva Bhushana Bhushitam Umarda Deham Shambhum Chandrartha Katashekaram. He is described as having Nava Yavvanam. He is described as Shuddha Spatika Sankasham, camphor white, and also described as Dhrita Bhalendu Maulinam. He has the Chandra on his head, and Parashakti is sitting on the left lap, and he has beautiful 5 faces, serene 5 faces, with 3 eyes in each face and 10 hands. So there are various forms of Mahadeva like this. So that's what she describes. And whatever I know, oh dear, Kridate cha tata sharvak prasidati yata cha vai. Whatever I know about Lord Shiva is just a fragment of his glories. And who can relate? Who can talk about the Leela of Mahadeva and how he becomes gratified? And that's where, and then the mother says, Hridistaha sarvabhutanam vishwarupo maheshwaraha bhaktanam anukampartam darshanam cha yata shrutam. So Maheshwara of universal form, Brahmanta Vyapta Deha, Lagunyasam says, the entire universe is his body, and he resides in the heart of all the creatures. He said, Asmin Brahmapure Veshma Dakharam Yedidam Mune Puntarikam Tutanmadye Akasho Dakharavasthitat Sa Shivaha Sachidanandaha Sonveshtavyo Mumukshubhihi Ayam Kridistitaha Sakshi Sarvesham Avisheshataha Tenayam Hridayam Proktaha Shivaha Samsaramochakaha. Panchabrahmopanishad says, meditate on that Sachidananda Samba Shiva Swarupam in the heart, who resides in the heart of all the living entities. Ishvarak Sarva Bhutanam. Panchabrahmopanishad, also Sutta Samhita, Brahma Gita, chapter 6, verses 1 and 2 talk about the same thing. And then Taittiriya Upanishad, Saya Esho Antara Kridaya Akashaha, Hiranmaya Purushaha. Meditate on that golden form, golden Purusha, who has a golden effulgence in the heart, who resides in the heart of all the living entities. Hriditvamasi yo nityam tisro matraha parastusaha. Atharvashiras Upanishad. The Devas say, Hriditvamasi, oh Mahadeva, you reside in the heart of all the living entities. Devanagam Kritagebhyo, he resides in the heart of the Devas too, Brahma, Vishnu and Indra. Yo Nityam, you are eternal. Tisro Matraha Parastusaha, you are beyond the 3 states of consciousness, O Mahadeva. Vaishvanara Taijasa Prajna, you are beyond the waking state, dreaming state and sleep state. You represent the Turiyam. Avastha Tritiyatitam Turiyam Brahma Samyitam Brahma Vishnavadivihi Sevyam Sarvesham Janakam Param. He gives Janakam to Brahma and Vishnu, and he is the supreme father of all. He is the supreme father and he gives birth to even Brahma and Vishnu. He represents the Turiya. Devanagam Kritagebhyo, Rudram says, he resides in the heart of all the living entities. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Krita Hridistam Manasa Biklipto Ya Etat Viduramritaste Bhavanti. So here, and the Upamanyu Maharishi's mother continues, Munina Bhruvatam Divyam Ishana Charitam Shubham Kritavanyani Rupani Katitani Divaukasaihi Anugrahartam Vipranam Shrunuvatsa Samasataha Tanite Kirtayishyami Yanmam Tvam Paripritchasi. The Munis, the Maharshis glorify Mahadeva. And then he says, because this is a recount of Upamanyu Maharishi reciting the experience of how he met Mahadeva, how he got the boons from Mahadeva to Krishna, and he discusses that conversation that he had with his mother, how his mother is glorifying Lord Shiva. And then the Munis have glorified, in days of yore, the Maharshis have glorified the excellent acts of Mahadeva, and I have heard from them. That's what Upamanyu Maharishi says. And the mother also says. So that's where here we see the importance of Guru. So we discussed that yesterday. So hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam Shambhoho, hearing is important, hearing about Mahadeva, hearing Shiva Katha, doing Shivanama Sankirtanam. From proper authoritative people, that's what is moved. Hearing from proper authoritative people, and then it is described that one should go in a humble mood and approach a Guru. So, and take Shiva Diksha. That's how you can understand Shiva Tattva. Whatever, you can read everything from online, you can read everything from the Vedas and Upanishads online, everything is available online, but until the grace of the Guru happens, one cannot understand Mahadeva. And that is told in the last verse of the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Yasya deve parabhaktihi yata deve tatha gurau tasyete katita hyarta prakashante mahatmanaha. Yasya deve parabhaktihi. What is the use of having that parabhakti to Mahadeva and ignoring the Guru? One can never understand Mahadeva. So how much amount of bhakti you have to Mahadeva, that amount of bhakti you need to have to the Guru who preaches Shiva Tattva, the Diksha Guru. Tad vijnanartam sa gurumeva vigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam Mundaka Upanishad. Casting aside everything, surrender to the Guru. Gurumeva vigachet. Go. Gache means go. Go to that Guru. Samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam, who is described as Shrotriyam, who is a master of the Vedas and Upanishads. Shrotriyam comes from the word Shruti. Shruti is the Vedas and Upanishads. Who has mastered the Vedas and Upanishads and who is Brahmanishta. Who is in Shivanishta. What is the use of mastering the Vedas and Upanishads and not engaging in Shiva Bhakti? Namo Veda Vidam Manishinam Upasaniyaya Namo Namaha, Brihaspati says in Sutta Samhita. So, one who has mastered the Vedas and Upanishads will come to the conclusion that Shiva Bhakti is the final. So that's why the Mundaka Upanishad says Shrotriyam, who has mastered the Vedas and Upanishads, and Brahmanishtam, that is being in Shivanishta, always thinking of Lord Shiva and Parashakti. And then to favor the Brahmanas and to favor the people in the entire universe and to also favor the people in the heaven, he has taken various forms, O child. And then she goes on to say, Ambhovacha Brahma Vishnu Surendranam Rudradityashvinamapi Vishveshamapi Devanam Vapurdharayate Bhavaha Naranam Devanarinam Tata Preta Pishachayoho Kirata Shabaranam Cha Jalajanam Anekashaha. And then the mother continues, oh dear Upamanyu Maharishi, oh dear Upamanyu, because for us he is Upamanyu Maharishi, for her he is just Upamanyu. So, oh dear Upamanyu, Mahadeva takes the forms of every person in the entire universe that you see. He pervades everybody. And that's why she gives a big list. So just like Rudram says, we are going to see that. So she gives a big list, like 25 verses, talking. Mahadeva pervades everything that you see. He is present within Brahma, he is present within Vishnu, he is present within Indra, and he is present within the Rudras and Adityas. This is where very important point to be noted. The 11 Rudras are completely differentiated from Maheshwara. So the 11 Rudras appear sometimes from the forehead of Brahma and sometimes from the forehead of Narayana. They are the partial manifestation, partial amshas of that Samba Shiva, but they are not. Purnam is always Mahadeva. Mahadeva is the creator of Brahma, Narayana and Rudra. And there are places where, if you see, Daksha, once in the Daksha Yajnam, he did not invite Maha Parashakti and Paramashiva. So Dadichi Maharshi comes to the Daksha Yajna and he says, oh, I do not see Maheshwara. I do not see Maheshwara here. I see Brahma, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Vishnu, all the Devas, Indra, everybody. But I don't see Parashakti and Paramashiva, who is the essence of the Yajna. Avo Rajanamadvarasya Rudragam Hotaragam Satyajagam Rodasyoho Agnim Puratana Yitno Rachittat Hiranyarupa Mavase Kranudvam. That golden Purusha who is described as Raja, the king of the Yajnas, you have not invited him. What is the use of conducting this Yajna, O foolish Daksha? And Daksha says, you see the 11 Rudras here who have the Chandra on the coronet, on their head, and they have a Trishul. I have invited these 11 Rudras, but I don't know who. I'm not sure of who you are talking about. I'm not sure of the Maheshwara that you're talking about. So this is out of arrogance that Daksha says. So here, the point to be noted is the 11 Rudras are different from Maheshwara. And another place I was reading in Vamana Puranam, the 11 Rudras along with Brahma and Vishnu participate in the Kalyanam, that is the marriage of Parvati and Parameshwara. So it says the 11 Rudras, some people come to the conclusion that the 11 Rudras are actually Lord Shiva. No, not at all. They are completely different from Purna Maheshwara, who is completely full in qualities, attributes and characteristics. Tejo yatte rupam kalyanatamam. Ishavasya Upanishad 16th verse describes. So, if you say the 11 Rudras are Lord Shiva, then the 11 Rudras are described as being participating in the marriage of Parvati and Parameshwara. So, who is that Parameshwara who is getting married to Parvati? So, that question comes. So, every place I have also given a video, difference between Kala Rudra and Paramashiva in my channel, which is an 8-minute video, which talks about who Rudra, who Kala Rudra is and who Paramashiva is. And sometimes Paramashiva is also referred to as Rudra because the meaning of Rudra is the one who removes all the sorrows. Namo Bhavaya cha Rudraya cha. But Kala Rudra is different from the 11 Rudras are different from Paramashiva. And there is not a place where Lord Shiva is not there. That's where she says, she continues, he is present in Brahma, Vishnu, the 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas, Ashwini Kumaras, Vishvedevas, 8 Vasus. He is present in the Bhutas, Pretas and Pishachas. Oh my dear son. He is also present in all the aquatic animals. And she gives the list of all the aquatic animals. And she also gives all the reptiles and mammals. She lists all the reptiles and mammals, and she lists all the, she gives the list of all the kind of beings, the Gandharvas and Kuberas, and there is not a place he is not present. Sarvovai Rudraha. Sarvavyapi sa Bhagavan tasmat sarvagatak Shivaha. Shivetashvatara Upanishad. Sarvavyapi, he is pervading. He is all pervading. Tasmat sarvagatak, he is present everywhere. Who is that personality? Shivaha, Mahadeva. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Maharishi says that. And he assumes everything she says. He assumes the forms of tortoises and fishes and conches and lions. He is also present in the lion and deer, and he is also Sharaba. He is present in it. So this describes, because where is he present? That was the question that was posted by Upamanyu Maharishi. And she replies saying he is present in everything. That's where she gives a big list. Very beautiful 25 verses. Very similar to what we see in Rudram. Vrikshebhyo harikeshebhyah pashunam pataye namo namo. Who is present in the trees. Kakubaya nishangine estenanam pataye namo namo. He is the lord of thieves. He is the lord of dacoits. See how Rudram describes. He is the lord of dacoits. Rudra Pashupati Nayanar, when he had the realization, when someone came to his house and stole something, if we would have been in that place, we would have cursed that person, or we would have chased that person with a stick. But Rudra Pashupati Nayanar felt, oh, Mahadeva himself has come to my house and stole something. How fortunate I am. And then he started chanting Rudram, because Kakubaya nishangine estenanam pataye namo namo nishangina ishudimate taskaranam pataye namo namo panchate paripanchate sthayunam pataye namo namo panchate paripanchate. He is the lord of the dacoits. That's how it describes. Ayachadbhyo visrijadhyascha vo namo namosyabhyo vidyadhyascha vo namo nama asinebhyakshayanebhyascha vo namo namo. He who is sitting, Mahadeva is also present in someone who is sitting and someone who is standing. Swapadbhyo jagridyascha vo namo namo. Who is also present, one who is awake and one who is sleeping. Mahadeva is also present within him. Stishtadbhyo davadyascha vo namo namo. Who is standing and also who is running. Mahadeva is present in that personality also. Sabhabhyak Sabhapativyascha Namo Namo, who is also present in the audience and also who is present within the speaker as the Antaratma. Ganebhyo Ganapativyascha Namo Namo. Virupebhyo Vishwarupebhyascha Namo Namo. Is present as everyone in this entire universe. Sarvo vai Rudraha, Purusho vai Rudraha. Mahadhyah Kshulla, and also he is the Lord of opposites. Mahadhyah Kshullakebhyascha Namo Namo. Mahadhyah means who is a great soul. Kshullakebhyah means who is a weak being. He who is the strong person, he who is the weak person. Rudram says that for Lord Shiva. Rathebhyo Ratapatibhyascha Namo Namo. Who is the chariot and who is the leader of the chariot. Hrasvaya cha Vamanaya cha namo brihate cha varshiyase cha namo. Hrasvaya cha means he who is the smallest of the smallest, the tiniest of the tiniest. And brihate, he is the greatest of the greatest. Prashasitaram sarvesham aniyam sam anorapi rukmabam swapnadigamyam vidyartam purusham param. Manusmriti, Manu says, 12th chapter, 122nd verse. Surrender to that personality who is golden and also who is the smaller than the smallest and the larger than the largest. Rukmabam, that point to be noted. Rukma, we are going to see how Lord Shiva is described as golden in the Upanishads. After describing Purvajayacha, Parajayacha, he was before everybody. He was before Brahma and Narayana. And Madhyamayacha Pakalpayacha. Tam Adi Madhya Anta Vihinamekam Vibhum Chidananda Rupam Arupam Adbhutam Kaivalya Upanishad. He is present in the beginning, middle and end of all the living entities, O my child, Upamanyu. Agre Vadayacha, Dhure Vadayacha. So like that she describes, he is present in everything and also he is present in the Devas and Danavas, Yakshas, Kuberas, everywhere. And then she comes to the unique form of Lord Shiva. Because that was the question posted by, she answers the questions one by one. Where is he present? There is not a place where Mahadeva is not present, oh my dear child. That's why she gives a big list, this big list. And then some people say that Shunya, right? The Buddhists say Shunya. The Shunya is also identified as Lord Shiva. And whatever you describe as Brahma Jyoti, Mayavadis or Advaitis describe as Brahma Jyoti, that is also the effulgence coming out of the body of Lord Shiva. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pikitam mukam tattvam kushan apavranu satya dharmaya drishtage apranasvat sarva eva suvarnaha hiranyashmashru keshaha. Chandogya Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Ishavasya Upanishad says Hiranmayena patrena. So, Basma Pandura Gatrascha Chandrartha Krita Bhushanaha Anekara Vasam Dushtas Chane Kastuti Samskritaha Sarva Bhutantakak Sarvak Sarvaloka Pratishtitaha Sarva Lokantaratma Cha Sarvagak Sarvavadhyapi Sarvatra Bhagavan Nyeyo Kritistaha Sarvadehinam. He is identified as someone who has the ashes all over his body. And he is also described as camphor white in color. Camphor white, Shuddha Spatika Sankasha. And he has the Chandrartha Krita Bhushanaha. He has the half moon on his forehead, oh my dear child. He is also described as three-eyed. And every mantra in the Vedas describe him only. There is also a beautiful place in the Rudram. It says, O Mahadeva, everything in the Vedas glorify you. And also everything at the end of the Vedas, Vedanta, which is the Upanishads, also glorify you only. There is nothing that doesn't glorify you. And he is the creator, maintainer and destroyer of everything. And also he is the concealer and also the ultimate liberator. He is the soul of all creatures. So that's where she describes the unique form. What is the form of Mahadeva? That's the question posted. Next question posted by Upamanyu Maharishi. For that she replies. And we are going to see some unique references in the Shastras that describe the form of Lord Shiva. Kaivalya Upanishad. Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabham Trilocanam Neelakantam Prashantam Gyatva Munurgacchati Bhutayonam Samasta Saksham Tamasak Parasta. The one who is eternally with Parashakti and who is described as Neelakanta, who is blue-throated. And then Trilochanam, who is three-eyed. Parameshwara, who is the Supreme Lord. The form of Mahadeva is beautifully described. And then Mahanarayana Upanishad. Namo Hiranyabhagave, Hiranyavarnaya, Hiranyarupaya, Hiranyapataye, Mbikapataya, Umapataye, Pashupataye Namo Namaha. Who is golden in complexion, whose hands are gold, who is the Lord of gold, and also who is Umapati and Ambikapati. Uma, Ambika, Himavadgiri, Kanyaka, all these very specific names refer to Parashakti. Soma, Shiva plus Uma is Soma. Those things. And then Ritakam Satyam, Param Brahma Purusham, Krishna Pingalam, Murdvaretam, Virupaksham, Vishwarupam, Namamyaham. Param Brahma, who is the supreme absolute truth, who is three-eyed. Virupaksham, Vishwarupa, who is present everywhere. Krishna Pingalam, very, very specific epithet used for Lord Shiva in the Upanishads and also in the Puranas. So Krishna refers to Parashakti, she is dark in complexion. Pingala refers to Paramashiva. Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Eko Rudro na Dvitiyaya, he is one without a second. And also Taitriya Samhita, Eshate Rudrabhagas Tanjushasva, Tena Avasena, Paro Mujavatoti, Havyavatadanva, Pinaka Hastaha, Krittivasaha. Krittivasa means the one who is covered with the skin. So there are stories where Mahadeva is described as Dvijacharmam Baradara, Vyagracharmam Baradara, one who has the tiger skin for his garment, and also lion skin, that is a man lion skin, Narasimha skin for his garment, and then the deer skin for his garment, and also the elephant skin for his garment. So we can interpret in whatever way we want, because Krittivasaha generally means covered with a skin. And Narasimha Krittivasana, Linga Puranam says that, 117th verse, where actually he has the skin of Narasimha. And Shiva Sankalpa Upanishad says, Kailasa Shikarabasa Himavadgiri Kanyakaha Neelakantam Trinetram Chatanme Mana Shiva Sankalpamastu. Very similar attributes. He is always with the daughter of the mountains, present in Kailasha, who is Neelakanta, on account of drinking the poison and to save the entire universe, and along with Brahma and Vishnu, he drank the poison and his throat became blue. Neelakantam Trinetram, he is three-eyed. And Taitriya Upanishad, Saya Esho Antarakrataya Akashaha Hiranmaya Purushaha, he is described as golden. Kena Upanishad, Umam Haimavati, Mahadevi Parashakti is also described as golden. Mundaka Upanishad, Hiranmaye Pare Koshe, Hiranya is used. Isha Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, it says Hiranmayena Patrena, he is golden. Chandogya Upanishad, Apranasvat Sarva Eva Suvarnaha, everything is golden. And Manusmriti, Basmajabala, Dyatva Sambam Mam Eva Vrishabharudam Hiranyabahum Hiranyavarnam. One should meditate on me along with Parashakti, who is Hiranya. Mahadeva himself identifies himself as Hiranya, golden. And no other personality you can see actually is described as golden in the Shastras. Brahma is red and Vishnu is dark black in color. Actually, it is described that on account of the Hala poison, everything was destroyed, including Vaikunta and also Brahmaloka. The Vaikunta Vasis were suffering because of the Hala poison. Vishnu turned black on account of that. That's what the Shastras say. Matsya Puranam, 250th chapter, Brahmanda Puranam, 25th chapter, Vayu Puranam, 54th chapter, and Kashikandam, Vyasa also says, Krishna Tamapa Vishnuhu. Krishna Tamapa Vishnuhu. Vishnu turned black on account of that poison, and you were only able to save the entire universe. And also Skanda Puranam, Maheshwara Kandam, Kedara Kandam, 9th and 10th chapter talks about Vishnu and Vaikuntavasis were suffering because of the Hala poison and Vishnu turning black. So the only personality who is described as three-eyed with Parashakti on his left, and also Neelakanta, and also Hiranya, who is golden in complexion, and also five-faced, three-eyed, 10-handed. Chandraartha Krita Shekaraha, Chandra Bhushana, who has the Chandra on his forehead, is our dear Mahadeva and none else. So that's where she comes. Ambhovacha, she describes the unique form of Lord Shiva to Upamanyu. This is the form you need to concentrate on. That's what she says. And then he knows the desires of all his worshippers. Whoever is worshipping him with a desire, he knows, because he is present in the heart of all the living entities. And then Arupasya Rupasya Atirupadya Rupinaha Anadyantam Ajasyantam Vetsyate Kosya Tattvataha. Who can truly understand the limits of Mahadeva? Here the divine form, when Mahadeva appeared as an Agni Stamba to crush the Ahankara, ego of Brahma and Vishnu. So who is formless? That's where she says, but he is beyond all the material forms. Sometimes you see the Upanishads describe Mahadeva as Arupam and Vibhum. Chidananda Rupam, Arupam. Vibhum, Chidananda Rupam, Arupam, Adbhutam. Kaivalya Upanishad itself uses the word Vibhum and Arupam. So Vibhu means infinite. One who doesn't, but that Anantatva is described as an attribute of the formed Maheshwara. Because the form of Lord Shiva is also described in the Upanishads. We saw that just now. And also he has that formlessness attribute. He has that Anantatva. Anantatva means infiniteness. So infiniteness is an attribute of that formed Maheshwara. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyatvam, Jnanatvam and Anantatvam are his attributes and characteristics. So formless means that doesn't mean that he has a form. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a form. So he's beyond all the material form. Sri Kantaragya beautifully brings this in his Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, that his form is not like our form, like we are bound by birth, old age, disease and death, but his form is divine and spiritual, completely beyond all the modes of material nature. It's not like the forms of Brahma and Vishnu. So he transcends all the material forms. And we also saw only after in the Bhasma Bhaksha Leela, when Vishnu decorates his body with a sacred ash, he had to actually meditate on the divine form of Mahadeva and then his knowledge attained completeness. And that's how he attained complete knowledge. Because when Vishnu meditated on a Jyoti in his heart, Mahadeva said, your knowledge is incomplete. And then he meditated on the form of Lord Shiva, then his knowledge became complete. And that's why you see, because of his all-pervasiveness, that's why some Upanishads describe him as Vibhum and Arupam. But we have to understand that properly. And who is the cause of all actions? Anadhyantam, Ajasyantam, Ajaha, Ajayamano Bahuda Vijayate. He is birthless. He doesn't have birth. He appears and disappears. He doesn't have Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Munayor, Janma, Mrityu, Jaraditaha. Parvati Mata says, I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married to people like Brahma, Vishnu and Indra who are bound by birth, old age, disease and death. Whereas I want to get married to the person who is eternal, who is Shashvata, who is beyond birth and death, who is birthless, who is beyond the three modes of material nature. And that is my dear Parameshvara alone. Parvati Mata says in Matsya Puranam, 154th chapter, 178th verse. And then Mother continues, Upamanyu Maharishi's mother continues, Tad Bhaktas Tad Gato Nityam Tannishtas Tatparayanaha Bhajaputra Mahadevam Tatak Prapsyasi Chepsitam. And then just devote yourself to him, oh my dear child. Don't look at anything. Shiva Eko Dhyeyaha. Atharvashika Upanishad says, Shiva Eko Dhyeyaha. Just casting aside everything, meditate on him alone in the heart. And then Jananyas Tadvachak Shrutva. Janani means mother. Jagat Jananyai Jagate Kapitre Namashivayai cha Namashivaya. Jagat Janani is Parashakti. Jagat Pita is Parameshvara. Ardhanarishvara Stotram beautifully sings. But here the Janani, that is Upamanyu Maharishi's mother, he addresses her as Janani, and that Janani has given this knowledge to me. So Jananyas Tad Vachak Shrutva. Shrutva, after hearing the words of my mother, O Krishna, Tada Prabriti Shatruhan Mama Bhaktir Mahadeve Naishtiki Samapadyata. I started engaging in devotion to Mahadeva, having nothing else in my mind. Casting aside everything, just I completely devoted to Mahadeva. And then I applied myself practicing austere penances in order to gratify Lord Shiva.